You.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm very excited to share more about the session. So I'm going to be sharing my screen right now. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. 1 second. Perfect. So, as we previously said, today our session will be talking more about the education and skill development opportunities for the marginalized youth. So to begin, I want to introduce you some of the basic statistics and why you should be concerned about this problem. So globally, there are over 781 million adults who are illiterate. In other words, they do not know how to read and therefore are unable to pursue different skills and opportunities that they are out there. In terms of Africa, there are over 182 million adults who are illiterate. And in terms of the youth globally, there are over 200 million youth who are illiterate. And in Africa, in terms of children, there are over 48 million youth who are illiterate. And these numbers just reflect how many people in the world do not have access to adequate education and skill development. So the most common answer to why this is due to poverty. Many of these communities, their schools are underfunded. They don't have the services that much of we do. So like, for example, they don't really have much access to books or technology, homework centers, or other programs where students and adults can seek assistance. Furthermore, poverty also hinders their cognitive and social development. And also due to poverty, there are also increased likelihood of illnesses. For example, I've worked with many people around orphanage in Africa, and many of the directors has expressed how many of their children are both infected with malaria and HIV. And to think that because of their health, it's very hard for them to even pursue an education due to their sanity and where they're surrounded with. There's also other factors that contribute to the inadequate education and skill development, including discrimination, cultural bias, and lack of infrastructure. However, there are many programs out there and many people who have gotten involved in kind of alleviating the detrimental effects of this. For example, many governments have provided many resources around, example, providing books, technology, and other services to these schools. Schools have also applied for scholarships and grants in hopes of receiving money and using that money to kind of make more study materials and making more centers available in those communities. I also want to get into some of the policies that are available out there to kind of help with this problem. So, in terms of New York of the United States, recently Governor Kathy Hochul has announced that she was going to be releasing initiatives to increase access to adequate education. There aren't any much specific information right now, but she just released that to the public recently. Also, there is also something called Planet Polis, which is basically a list of national education plans, for example, donating books, textbooks, etc. There are also many other philanthropy organizations who are working towards the same goal. Lastly, artificial intelligence can also be a resource that can be really helpful to uplifting education and skill development. Because technology is revolutionizing our society right now, artificial intelligence can be really helpful in help strengthening the activities and programs available in communities and in schools. For example, if one community doesn't have access to like homework centers or other services, they can seek out to artificial intelligence to seek feedback on their assignments and further help. I also want to introduce I want to introduce nonprofit organizations, specifically Health Pride International. Health Pride International is a youth-led nonprofit organization that empowers education and health equity through services and monetary means. So throughout the past 4 years, Health Pride International has done several things. One of the main things we have been working on is to improve access to quality education. Because we are mainly located in the United States and we're seeking outreach internationally, we usually hold online and free health lessons, science lessons, and English lessons around the world. We also enhance the skills of the marginalized youth by providing them programs where they can improve their creativity and critical thinking. For example, for some of our presentations and lessons, we kind of have our students kind of read the words on the slides, and that can help them with their thinking and also other skills. We're also looking to be very inclusive with our program to also break the cycle of poverty. And lastly, our program is very inclusive to encouraging other people who want to get involved with our organization and also help empower these youth. So here are some pictures of what are some of our health lessons we've done over the past 4 years. As you can see, we mostly are based our work in Africa and Asia. However, we're also looking forward to expand much more. And so, beyond Health Pride International and the other actions which organizations and government have done, I believe that there still needs to be more done. There needs to be more funding allocated towards schools and marginalized communities working to uplift the education and skill opportunities available. There also needs to be more mentorship and also services available to them where they can seek help and guidance to pursuing a specific passion. Lastly, I think there needs to be more policies that are really specifically addressing the barriers that are really preventing these marginalized youth from getting what they want. For example, I know one of the main common answers for why this happened is poverty. However, there are obviously much more barriers out there that we need to address. So if you're listening at home, there's also a lot of things that you can do. For example, you can develop your own programs specific to marginalized youth. These programs can be mentorship programs like the health lessons we've done. It can be guidance and education, sessions, and all of this can really help them direct what they want to do. You can also establish community-based programs that are tailored toward these communities, and this can include participating in community activities, collaborating with partnerships, and that can really help empower the youth and encourage other participation from the other communities. And lastly, if you think you cannot establish programs or initiatives, one of the simplest things that you can do and also easiest is advocate. You can advocate these policies and kind of an action towards change on social media. You can hang up posters around your community. You can write to your local politicians. There's so much to do. These are only three of the options I've listed here, but there's obviously an endless opportunities that you can do to get yourself involved. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to contact me, this is my email and my Instagram. And that's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sophia. I'm so glad you did the presentation. I love the fact that where you spoke about artificial intelligence, for skills development. I think that's like the major thing going on right now in terms of like education and technology. So yeah, thank you so much. So I'm just gonna go through the questions real quick. Okay, so the first question is, how can we effectively address the specific challenges faced by marginalized youths in assessing education and skills? Do we have Bukola on the call? Do we have Bukola on the call? Okay, I'm just going to go with the next person. Do we have Chukuka Enujeko?
So can you please repeat the question? I didn't get you clearly.
Okay, I'm going to repeat it. So, how can we effectively address the specific challenges faced by marginalized youths in assessing education and skills?
Okay, thank you very much. First, I apologize on me not turning on my camera because I'm currently on my way back home, and so apologies on that. So back to the question. One of the things that we need to just focus on is funding of education, because let me use the case study of Africa and in the global world. We need to just fund education in making these educational opportunities really accessible for all, either in the rural areas or in the urban areas. So one of the major things we need to talk about is funding. We need to ensure that we get stakeholders to make youth in the marginalized areas also get equal access to education. We can't be talking about the SDGs for, which is quality education, and it's just meant for some people, and some people are not accessing it, the marginalized youth. So we just need to ensure that we have fundings to ensure that teachers are being spread across there. We ensure that schools are being built even in the rural areas where these marginalized youth are, to ensure that education is getting to everyone, and ensuring that educational technology initiatives are being moved to different hooks and crannies of the world. I think with this, youth will be able to access this, and thank God for technology, which has made this very accessible and easy for all. At least with the help of our phones, we can have personalized learning and without a teacher. So I think one of how can we do this just by funding, ensuring that schools are being built everywhere, ensuring that stakeholders are being interested in education, and also ensuring that we as our own individuals who are also interested in advocating for education, advocating for skills and youth empowerment, so that no one will be left behind for quality education. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chokoka. I love the fact that you spoke about funding. It's one thing to have a vision, it's another thing to have the tool to drive the vision. So yes, thank you so much for that. I'm just gonna go to this next question. Okay, I think this question go to Jatani Bunaya. What successful approaches exist for overcoming barriers to education for marginalized youth, and how can they be built upon? Do you want me to repeat the question?
Okay.
Do you want me to repeat the question?
Yes, yes.
Okay. What successful approaches exist for overcoming barriers to education for marginalized youths, and how can they be built upon?
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity. Really, when we talk about the marginalized youth, I am one of them. And really, I'm so proud to get first this opportunity because I am the one from the very marginalized pastoralist community of the southern Ethiopia. For example, if I start from my family, I'm the first one who got the opportunity to the modern education. When I started in 2001, like I was travel more than 13 kilometers to the school. So I have to wake up early in the morning or 5 a.m. Like go with father up to like the morning sunrise or up to 7. That's the challenge of marginalized or pastoralist community in Africa that I'm already faced. So as I'm already passed through a very rough road or a very tough travel, the success way to support or approach or to help the the marginalized youth or community is first they need mentorship because education is the universal passport, we can say. But if one don't know about this universal passport, they can't apply or they not believe in it. So at first, the mentorship, the advocacy in this marginalized youth is very important. This is what I'm already seeing. For example, I was start advocacy when I was class 3. Maybe another time I will show in the photo forms or like PowerPoint. When we was class 3, like we are advocating people to send their children to the school. So training and mentorship is the very successful way to help these people because training can change a people. Even you can see from the religion a different that it was coming through the training. So in this marginalized community, for you especially, the training that behavioral change based or habit building is very important. If someone change the way to think or the way he feel things, for example, in 2021 to 2023, there was a very prolonged drought in southern and the eastern part of Ethiopia. During that time, the youth who are get the opportunity of the modern education from those marginalized people start gathering something and then went to that community and giving them the training. Then the youth start to follow that footstep. So advocacy in that very marginalized youth is very important. Another one, they need the mentorship because mentorship and the training are somehow different. For example, now I have a mentor. For example, others also have a mentor. If you have a mentorship, like you have a teacher, like guiding you. So if as much as possible, those marginalized youth need individual mentorship even, like the mentor individual mentor. Another thing is emphasize or try to be the voice for that people, for that youth, the one who get the opportunity. For example, in 2019, there was a school in southern part of Ethiopia, Borana. That school have no roof. Then during the rain time or the sunny time, they can't learn. Okay. Then we start the social media campaign, at least to cover that roof, to protect the student from the rain and the sun. Lastly, we able to construct a very good school there via only social media campaign. Like we're collecting more than 1.3 million Ethiopian birr, and then about to build the school with one full primary school. That's already the success story we achieved from the campaign, the advocacy, and the mentoring others in the same way. And another one is inviting them to different events. Because if youth can share a lot of events, that will expand, or there is fair, they start to break the limit. Now, as they do not see anything in the area, the mentality to expand the network or trying something is very low. But if there's somebody or sponsor some organization that can fund or assist them, they will start. Like, as we know, there's a proverb that says, it's Amharic already actually, as big as እንቁላል በእግር ትሄዳለች. That means from the slow process, egg will go to be the hand. That means everything or see that we know, it start from the single or very small drop. So we, those who got the opportunity from the global north or global south, should contribute something, because we are here for the reason, as Zigzag write in his book, everyone on this globe is come for the reason. So this is like knowing the purpose of life, the habit building, changing the mindset, and the leadership. These 4 trainings that gonna to be applied in that area will be the very good approach to assist the youth in marginalized area. Because there is 3 things here: education, skill, and opportunity. When we talk about education, what we have to remember or should be noted is that in these people, there is a great knowledge. Even if it is not a modern education, they know there is what called indigenous knowledge. So we must consider that one to integrate the indigenous knowledge and the scientific one together. When we put out that indigenous knowledge, they even can't accept or they can't apply properly those modern education. So the approach we follow must be that can read with the traditional approach and indigenous knowledge. For example, when we go to astronomy or hydrology, there is a people who know about that. When we're talking about the climate change, there is the people called Ayantu, traditionally already now all about the star, about the wind, weather condition, about the climate change. So always when we start some project or operate the project in this area or marginalized community or marginalized regions, we have to consider what they have originally. That means indigenous knowledge and traditional methods of learning. When we go to skill, also the same. There is a people who are almost more than a doctor. Even traditionally, they can't even cure the HIV disease. So that means they are already a doctor. They are a medicinal, traditional medicine are using that. That means we have to consider about this indigenous knowledge. When we go to the opportunity, actually there is a lot of opportunity on this globe. But the marginalized youth can't get even the link, even the info. This is how, because in some area, there is no any infrastructure. So, if the one who got the opportunity can share them, they can never get that. So, for example, now when in Africa, let's take Nairobi or Addis Ababa as example, the youth at the center have some info. When you go to at the root level or rural area, they don't know or they don't participate in anything. That means the policy of the country, the policy of the Africa for this marginalized community should be changed or should be considered during the policy making, during the implementation. There must be the consideration or the affirmative action for this marginalized community. So this may be, I think, the successful way to assist the marginalized youth. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Atani. You spoke extensively on your points. Thank you so much. So I'm just going to go to the next question, right? The third question is, how can collaboration between sectors improve access to education for marginalized youth? And this question, I don't know if Chiamaka is on the line and Gift Kelvin. Terry Fair, I think I saw your hand up. I don't know if you want to contribute something to the topic. Okay, I don't think it's here. Is Chiamaka here? Chiamaka Nwide and Gift Kelvin? If not, I mean, any of the panelists can just, contribute to the question as well. So we don't keep waiting for people.
I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Not really.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes. Perfect.
Can you just repeat the question again?
Okay. So how can collaboration between sectors improve access to education for marginalized youth? How can collaboration between sectors improve access to education?
Okay, so as a sector, which is the educational sector, there's need for collaboration with other sectors. So when we need other sectors, we are looking at other sectors like the finance sectors, transportation, even all sectors. Irrespective of the sector it is, and our key focus is the marginalized youth. So it's very important that sectors come together to collaborate with the different educational sectors. And when we talk about educational sectors varies. We could be talking about the university system. We could be talking about K-12. We're talking about the teachers' professional development. We're talking about Ministry of Education. Depending on the educational sector that we find ourselves, so there's need to collaborate. But there is always a very good need to collaborate with educational sectors because we are talking about reaching out to marginalized, leaving no one behind. And for us to leave no one behind, we need everybody's input. We need to ensure that everybody is on track with it. So when, for example, let me give a scenario of collaboration as educational sector. Let's say we are in the university sector, and in the university there are different faculties. And if I can remember, there's some faculty, let's say faculty of transportation and the Ministry of Transportation coming together to ensure that graduates are students who become graduates in that department or faculty are being trained well in the transportational sector, so that they won't come to into the transportational sector and become flop. So marginalized youth also in this, because in every marginalized youth, in every area, there is always a university. It might just be that the university is not so developed to that particular standard that we are looking at it at. But there is need for us to collaborate. So how can we collaborate is by coming together, looking out for possible problems and how we can solve these problems together. Like I gave scenarios of transportation, Ministry of Transportation coming together with the Faculty of Transportation to address issues that graduates are not supposed to encounter or to take place, even while they come into the sector. Another collaboration we can also look at in the educational sector is in the finance way. So there are ways in which marginalized youth might not be able to get into the educational sector. So educational sector like getting into schools and university system. So there is the banking sector, which is the finance can. Okay, we are looking at 1,000 students to open an account with us, and there's this collaboration with the university, so university, let's say Lagos State University or Nairobi University, coming together with a particular bank to just give out scholarships to particular students. They are easing up the distress because they want everybody to be involved in this educational goal we are talking about. So it's just different.
Okay, we really can't hear you again. Okay, I think.
How is it coming together to look for a particular problem in that particular area where marginalized youth are, and see how they can solve it.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Chukwuka. I love the fact that you spoke about the faculty scenario. You know, it's just saying that two heads are better than one. We always have to collaborate. We always have to collaborate to drive certain things, certain visions. I'm just going to go to the next question. What steps can ensure that education programs are inclusive and relevant to marginalized youths? I don't know if Jatani is still there, if Sophia wants to answer this. What steps can ensure that education programs are inclusive and relevant to marginalized youth?
Okay, thank you. First, in educational curriculum, two things must be considered to include those marginalized community or marginalized youth. The first, in some African country or even go to the East, Middle East, due to maybe the seasonal change or the difference, this has a lot of effect on other side. For example, now when we take Ethiopia as example, when you go to the highland area and go to the lowland or southern part of the area, the season is totally different. That has its own impact on those marginalized youth. For example, if in highland it's a rain season, when you go to the lowland, it's a winter season or drought. Then the hot itself or the weather condition itself have impact on education. So as much as possible, the educational curriculum should include the best way to consider all that youth. And another one is maybe the satellite education or the satellite educational curriculum is very important on those marginalized community because, or marginalized youth. For example, marginalized youth, as they have no opportunity, they daily pass their time on other work like a labor force. But if there is a satellite or the night school also, they got the opportunity to learn at least the primary education that maybe assist them when they're gonna to start some business or some business ideas. So if we consider that in our education, that maybe help them, totally it's help them. And the second one is facilitation. Because when those marginalized youth are got the facilities as the same as those who have really advantages than them are get facilities, they gonna be a competitive youth. For example, from 2021 to 2023 in Ethiopia, as a number of students who are take the entrance exam after Form 4 or Class 12, the number of students was increased too much. What make that? The first thing is technology. The technology that appear in the area, there's no in that marginalized area. So they're gonna to take, they not got that facilitation, even they don't know how to use it or how to manage their time with that online. The result is that they failed, which is that gonna to be affected the country, affect the Africa, affect the world. So facilitation is very important and policy is very important, and considering the night education or night learning is another option that they may work daily and then learn at night. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I love how you spoke about the nights as well. And I think also another way that educational programs can be inclusive is when you include like the blind, those with disabilities as well, bringing up educational programs to also help them in skills development as well. Thank you so much, Chetani.
Sure. The another one is must be include. Okay, thank you.
No. Okay,
yes.
Okay. So the next, you want to say something or?
Yeah.
Okay.
The inclusive of especially women and the girls, because in the large area, as someone who's the speakers already mentioned, the indigenous people, ethnics, immigrants, women and the girls are very marginalized even than young men. So also they need some incentives to attract the attention or to get the special attention, especially girls. So when we maybe give them special attention for disabled, for girls, as well as for ethnic minority, as well as people. For example, most of them are so now on the borders, which is a lot of conflicts, what may be like migration of the people, even illegal human trafficking. So in order to protect all that, they need a special attention. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that point. Thank you so much, Chetani. So the last question will be, what policy changes are needed to prioritize education for marginalized youths? What policy changes are needed to prioritize education for marginalized youths globally? I don't know if Chukur Kai is there. Sophia, Bukola, Jetani, Chiamaka, Gift. Anyone wants to take that up?
Yes.
Policies, right?
Policy should.
Yes.
What policies are needed for?
What policy changes are needed to prioritize education for marginalized youths globally?
Okay, if we are looking at the global world, that means we are looking at everyone. And there's this thing I like saying, leaving no one behind, because we're talking about education, which is it's a universal passport. So and there's need for us to have policies to get everyone involved. And I think one of the policies that has been involved, and it's a policy, but it's something that we just feel like it's a norm, is the K-12 classes, the early prep classes, and so those are classes that helps, or foundation that helps to give good beginnings to youth, because every youth comes from their stages before we become youth. So we start from early stage, which gets us into the youth world. But policies that we can use to ensure that marginalized youth, we could be looking at skills, ensuring that every youth gets a skill, every youth are being skill equipped, because we can't just, one of the things I think is we need to involve curriculums that are skill included.
Yeah.
So most of our curriculums, let me say in Africa, Nigeria, we just have curriculums that are just there. It's just there for the sake of let's just have a curriculum. So I think we need curriculum developers to look into this, because it's a policy that we need to work on and ensure that we're not just having anyhow curriculum. We have curriculum that we betterment for the students, betterment for youth. When we talk of curriculums of adding skills into our curriculum, there are many skills that we can use in training of youth in marginalized areas. And with these curriculums this policy is going to help in reducing burdens, and I'm sure that marginalized youth gets the reach of education. So I feel that one of the policies we need to ensure is a good foundation of our early classes, which I believe it's globally, every global country, every world has foundational classes which they do. Yeah, so I think we need to just ensure that it's being solid, because that's more like the beginning. Because there was this collaboration on literacy, because we discovered that literacy and numeracy is something that is not really so solid now, and there's need for us to emphasize on the need of literacy and numeracy among for beginners. So we need to just ensure that foundational classes are being solid with good foundation. We need to ensure that our curriculum are not just designed for the sake of we having curriculums, but for the sake of ensuring that marginalized youth, even the next generations, are being equipped. So we need to ensure that our curriculums are being developed well. Sit down and check into this. We don't just need curriculums that I would do now, and in the next 10 years it's the same curriculum, because in the next 10 years is not the world that we're going to be here. So we need to ensure that policies that will ensure a good curriculum that will involve skills, involve that everyone is being part of this thing. And the thing is, a tree can't make a forest. We need everybody's hands in it. We need collaborations.
Definitely.
We need stakeholders. We need the government. We need the private sectors. Everyone to be included in these things, so that these policies can be effective. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chukwuka. You literally took the words of my mouth. In terms of the policy changes that needs to be in place to prioritize education, right? And I just want to say this session has been very insightful. We've been able to answer all the questions in preferring changes faced by marginalized youth in accessing education, in overcoming barriers for education, in terms of collaboration between sectors, ensuring educational programs are inclusive, and policy changes for marginalized youths. So thank you so much, Chukwuka. Thank you so much, Sophia. Thank you so much, Datani. Thank you so much, My Foundation, and everyone that joined us for this session. Thank you. I don't know if session 11 is, the moderator is here. I think it's Mohammed Celia.
Yeah.
Okay, over to you then. Thank you.
Good morning.